Good day, everybody. Today is February 12th, 2025. My name is Brian from quantlabsnet.com. We're going to talk about interview questions and the interview process that goes on at these firms, at quant trading firms. One of them, if you've watched my most recent video on my webinar on the 750K jobs, I've got a video on that. One of the comments that came in was from this person. And he says, I think you're mixing a bit of the requirements if you are applying for a software engineering job in a quant shop. You'll be expected to know really well C++, how CPU, networking, and all the other technical stuff. But if you're not applying for a research role, you will not be tested on if you're applying for a research role, you will not be tested on C++ and low-level programming, maybe Python. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, every firm's different. The two standard languages are going to be Python and C++. So Python is traditionally the prototyping language. So somewhat this is correct that Python will be used for prototyping in the world of researching in models because it's quick prototyping. So I came back with saying if this person speaks of experience from his interviewing process. So then we get into, nope, would like to break in as a dev or from multiple sources. Now, I don't know what multiple sources mean. It's like, is that the BS that you could find on X? Or is that personal experience that devs are not required to know prob or stats at high level? Correct me if I'm wrong, though. I mean, the real truth is just look at job descriptions. And I've talked about this. Yes, they will put both C++ and Python in there. I think it's going to be a necessity to know both and know both really well. Anyways, let's get into this Reddit article I found as well. Um, this is important because this one seems to be from experienced insiders, and that's another big thing when you watch a lot of these videos online. Are these people speaking from actual experience? Are they speaking from as if they were working in large banks, hedge funds, name brand hedge funds, name brand HFT shops? Because that's what matters. If you're dealing with a small garage operation, that doesn't mean it is necessarily universal for all positions. Because as I said, each position is very different. But always remember the ones that pay the best are going to be the ones that are recognized because of their payment compensation. So that matters. So I think from this article, a lot of these are from actual insiders. Another place to go is to look for an app called Blind. There's a lot of talk on Blind from registered, confirmed registered talk and chatter from actually verified employees of those companies because you need to have the email verification from that employer. And then that verifies that you are an employee of that firm. And a lot of those firms that you will see in the chatter, specifically around high frequency trading, will have a lot of the big firms, even Renaissance Technologies in there as well, DFW, all that fun stuff. So check out that app as well called Blind, Blind, like I can't see blind. Okay. So let's go through this particular article. I'm preparing for any interviews for mid-level quant developer role, and I know C++ a focus for these positions. Okay, so again, coming back to those comments I made from that YouTube, this just double down verifies that yeah, you do need to say to know C++. Okay, and Python as well. Uh, should I expect um, what kind of C++ questions should I expect during these interviews? For my search, it seems like the following areas might be covered. Core C++ concepts, difference between pointers, references, stack and heap, allocation. Those are junior level kind of questions. Unique, different types of pointers, unique shared, R value, L value reference, STL, standard template library, that's standard as well. Algorithms, performance of STL containers, STD map, unordered map, complexity of operations, insertion, deletion, access, sorting, search, and multi-threading concepts like threads versus processors, mutex, deadlock, prevention, and exception safe locking. These are already what you'll find to master or to test your mastery through things like leak code will be very good for testing your knowledge on this. If you could pass with those with high marks, you probably are well groomed enough to do the same equivalent interviews coming from the recruiters at these firms. So continuing along, uh, right here. So it gets more advanced topics, template programming. That's the big one that a lot of the HFT shops use. That is something that I would think if you know template, micro, meta programming, you will be hunted down. Okay, because that is a lot of the firms use that. Is that with C++ and or FPGA. Dynamic static cons, constant correction, low latency optimization. This is now getting into the low level Linux operating system level, cache Linux size data structure design, memory alignment. Some interviews also include challenges, and I said leak code style problems. So that's where you start to learn all this. Ask you to implement data structures from scratch. You'll probably be thrown up on a whiteboard of some kind. Others dive into debugging or optimizing code snippets. Don't be surprised you'll need to know things like GDB, not your IDE. We're talking low level on the console in the shell in Linux, not with some IDE. And I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of these interview processes will just give you your essential development tools only on the Linux shell. And then on top of that, you will only get access to one of the editors uh, like Nano or Vim. Real men use Vim as well, VIM. Or maybe they might even go cryptic on you and just give you VI. If they want to be real cruel. If you've been through enough similar interviews, I'd love to hear what are your specific C++ topics, question were asked, what were your unexpected challenges, any tips? 13 comments. So we're going to have a lot of fun here on what people say. Okay. Two questions I've got years ago when I was interviewing and doing C++ were standard share pointer. For those that don't know, STD is your standard STL library. Implement a variety of STD optional that allow for references to the extent of non-owing optional is weird. Okay, this is beyond me now. But obviously you got to know the STL library pretty good. Different companies, so I expect that implementing STD things might not be uncommon because a lot of these firms will not really use a lot of third-party libraries, so they will put a reliance on STL. Plus one, every interview for C++ roles now this is just general C++. This is not um, quant stuff. This is just general C++. I've required implementing some data structure and algorithm from the standard library. Outside of that, I've been asked a lot of things about synchronization. That comes back to um, your things like here, mutexes, deadlock prevention, exception safe, all that fun stuff. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is really good. This one's key right here. Okay. Um, he worked at one of the big shops, Millennium, Citadel, etc. And whilst I am a QR rather than a QD, we generally interview QDs too, so I can probably weigh in a bit here. QD, quant researcher, QD, quant developer. The important point here is nothing is off the table. No, it's anything. Because if you're an experienced master level C++, namely, you will be asked all of the above here for sure. Sure, MTMP is a lot of concern usually, and it's so is high performance work, optimization, etc. So you'll probably not be asked about those as much. Depends upon your senior level that you're applying for. Uh, but to put a list of topics together is doing yourself a disservice. Math is very high part of it. So again, it comes back down to the quant. You will not be doing you will not be just doing a coding interview. So I think right there, if you're coming out of computer science, namely specifically, as I said before, physics and math, and being able to proof a lot of your mathematical solutions, you're in good shape. If you're like me, where 1 plus 1 equals 3 and 2 plus 2 equals 5, you're not going to do well here. That's why I never applied for these positions because I'm not that strong in math. Back in the day, yes, but times have changed. Um, to paraphrase what I asked before, there isn't a distinction between devs implementing algorithms and those working on low latency structure. And do you commonly hire from Fang for the latter? So here's some more responses. Yes, most companies have a distinction. Some companies only really consist of the former, though, and are basically technology customers. From my experience working in these large firms, you'll be in a group, a technical group. They will give you a team of clients, internal clients within the company that you're working for. So if you're working for a quant trading desk, a trading desk, you're going to be developing, maybe implementing models that they want, developing all the different types of risk and uh, basically coming up something that they need from the quant modeling research teams. They will be your clients and they will be demanding. So again, here, if the role has the word quant in it, is likely the former. For purely technical roles, it is most common to hire new graduates, but Fang and other tech companies is not uncommon. I've done a video. I just put out that Citadel and Jane Street are hiring from Waterloo. So a lot of these firms at the junior level will go to a lot of the leading universities to pick off the grads that they like to see in computer science, math, physics, the priority, I would think. Ivy League schools, best of the best schools, and they will also do, I've mentioned before, for the internships as well, the competitions like what Citadel does in Hong Kong. So they do all that. It's a variety of ways. Each team is different. Okay, coming back to the initial question, you'd be surprised to know how many candidates fail, how many bits are there in a byte. These are now C-level questions, okay? So you need to be very comfortable in C-level style interview because C is still out there and heavily influenced by how they develop using C++. Okay, so there will be a lot of C style things you need to know. I'm shocked how many experience have these people. I don't know what that means. All right. Um, so let me just see here. The questioner is competitive day. Okay, so continuing along, I have no idea what trading firms in particular ask, but on the topic of high performance, low latency, multi-processing, and concurrency are important topics, not just the basics, but you've listed, but also, for example, now this is just one example of many. Hardware primitives for implementing atomic operations, OS support, futixes, what? Memory ordering and how they map to different ISA lock-free concurrency performance implication and multi-threading on the cache level. Cache is really important to know L1, L3, the difference. Context switch overhead, that's another big one, and how to avoid them. The cache hierarchy, NUMA, and cache coherency, and the TLB. We'll get into another resource, but that one on YouTube made some questions from the TLB. And then there's all the remainder CPU um, architecture. So essentially prepare by reading anything you can on computer hardware, operating system fundamentals, and some advanced topics in concurrency. The best way to know this stuff is to actually do code on your own, test it, and build. build things. That's the best way I can refer it. So obviously, Coding Messiah on YouTube has a channel specifically covering these topics. Two books he recommends and have helped him and this person: Daily C++ Interviews, Sandor, Dargo Trading System Developer Interview Guide, C++ Edition, Jeff Vogel's. Those might be two good resources. More here since I looked at this. Rock on, you can cram some extra. I don't think cramming's the right way. You got to live and breathe this stuff. Like, you got to be doing this on your personal time. You got to know it, be comfortable with it, love it, sleep with it, live it, eat it, breathe it. Extra metadata into pointer without needing any extra bytes of memory to hold the data. Why would you use a naked or raw pointer instead of a smart pointer? Again, when you start seeing the raw pointer thing, that's C style, and that you can do in C++. I've done tests back in the day, and it was a load of BS. This is why I gave up on this process, because at the time I was pretty comfortable with C, and we know about why people use double pointers. We know there's some benefit to that, and you could probably do the same thing in C++. But in the interview test, why am I being presented with triple pointers? It's so impractical. But this is standard BS stuff that Bloomberg would put out there, because nobody uses triple pointers as far as I know. Tell me about when something shite the bed and you on and what you can to prevent it from catching fire. What's your deal with code architecture? I mean, this is deep stuff, very advanced too. How do you get a vert buffer onto a GPU? Step me through what happens when you do. Difference between a structure and a class. That again comes back to C style. So important to know to distinguish yourself from the C++ leak code wannabes. You know what I mean? Tell me about CMake. Now, CMake is another tool that is its own world. I've seen job descriptions that basically are a full-time job based upon make files and CMake. Those exist. When should I use a conjunction with a Visual Studio based project? Okay. Ever worked for? How do you get through it? Okay. These are soft uh, personal skills. And I hate to tell you, in the trading world, especially out of New York, and London, you're going to be working with a lot of egomaniacs. Okay. And when things don't go their way, they're going to be telling you you're the problem because you're the coder. What is mantissa? What is a floating point inaccuracy? How do you retain precision? If you have not given up by now on the kind of questions, and we're nowhere close to to finishing this. If you got an experienced master C++ programmer, there is no way you could chat GPT your way out of an interview. There's no way. And they'll know as well. Your coworker just subbed the whole CPP page from your code base into chat GPT. Can I get a vibe check from you or with you? What's up with cross product? What does it do? Does TDD suck? I think it does. How do you stay current? Tell me about your personal projects you got. There you go. I've said this before. You need to be brand name. You got to be on your social media. You got to be teaching people on how to do C++ coding, how to do algo trading, how to do all that. Plus, you have to have a GitHub repository and contribute to software projects on GitHub. You want these high paying jobs, the 500,000, million plus that are now going into 2 million, 3 million, up to 5 million. And I've seen them 10 million, 10 million. You want these kind of jobs? You got, as I said, live, breathe, eat, and sleep with this stuff. What's a V table? What does it do? What is name mangling a thing? Or why is name mangling a thing? Why would you use a template and when would you need to? Pre-force a GIT or SVN on a new project and why? And that's pretty intense just as from one comment. Mind some OS network TCP questions to address high performance and priority problems. OS and network is critical part along with C++. Yes, high priority, but there's more than just that. It'd be helpful to others if you could share for the quant companies you're targeting for quant companies. I think it's a meaningless response. Every quant company has a series of high paid, multi million paid quant coders or quant researchers that know C++ inside out, upside down, every which way. So you cannot hide the fact if you're just scaping by or coasting by. They're going to see it within seconds. Within seconds. My target on low latency techniques. You just can't get through this. For example, see how FPGA can be used in low latency trading firms. Now, I'll stop there on FPGA. FPGA is really geared towards electrical engineers. Okay, FPGA people that go into are coming out of some kind of engineering program working on electrical boards, and they're thrown in front of some kind of trading operation with FPGA. That's how it goes. That's from what I'm seeing and hearing. From that, we can get more concepts, pointers, shared unique, memory management, and all the other topics for any C++ interview, or all the regular topics of C++ interview. That may be true. May be true. But you could go through 13 rounds of interviews and then you get to the founder and realize, especially at the small 2 million, 3 million plus British pound company, that guy's a coder as well. So they're going to drill you even in the very last stage of it as well, because they know how to code as well. And if anyone's going to be the man in the coding, it will be the founders, usually. So, not an easy recruitment process, but this is just a taste of what you need to know. All right, so we'll leave it at that. Now, let me talk, and I have not even talked about the trading side of things as well. Okay, so at my website, quantlabs.net, this might be a lot for a lot of people. Fine, fair enough. So what I've done now is I've got the course here, my program list. This course right here, and I'm going to do an email on this or video on this. This is a trading course for the trading side of what trading firms do. If you want to get my C++ book, okay, right here under learn, quantlabsnet.com, you can sign up and get this book that focuses on the entire infrastructure end to end of any trading firm that's 100% C++. And I'm sure there's a lot of firms out there like that. Now, we've talked about the technical interview process, but as I said before, if you want to pass here, be a master trader to know the positions to get into the quant research, you have to take this course. Okay, this will cover what most HFT shops are trading in both futures and options. Okay, this course will go through that. I've just finished uploading all the code every step of the way. Okay, we are now dealing with the standard institutional level things that these firms trade: euro dollars, treasuries, all the commodities, and we're talking with hedging, arbitraging, all of that intense stuff. This is probably double, maybe triple of what you need to know to get in these firms on the quant research side. There is a lot of quant now in this course within the code. In C++, I just finished it yesterday, and it's up. This is an institutional level course. This is probably the only kind where it merges both the theoretical of trading using financial instruments, you obviously layering multi strategies using financial futures, options, and synthetic options as well. This covers a lot of it. There's a sample code as well in C++, also for portfolio manage, risk adjust. It covers everything. It's a big course. It's about 25 pages of 25 sections of intense videos. I'd say about 75% of the course is C++. The other end is surprisingly, I was trying to do it in Python, but I just couldn't get anywhere. Uh, it's in JavaScript for the charting, namely payoff diagrams to measure risk and to know what they call the gold zone and when to trade as well, and knowing what to watch when you have your inefficiencies set in using things like put call parity, equilibrium in the markets of surprise, basic supply and demand. So this course covers a lot of it. It's very low cost. This is your roadmap with C++ that glues it all together and where you can reverse engineering a lot of it. And I'm going to be building out on this to very advanced stuff. So if you want it, just go under the store. I've got a 30 $30 intro, just a 3 hour video, just see if you like my video style as well. So that's all here on the site. I'll put the links in. This is critical if you want to be very serious of what you do. Not just that, if you feel you want to be a really, really rock solid trader using HFT like strategies and concepts, again, this is a path to take as well. And I'm going to be taking it to the next level to build a trading system for myself using the GUI that I demonstrated a few weeks ago. I am GUI or whatnot. Again, C++. Other than that, hopefully this will give you better guidance over the last half hour. Thank you very much for watching and have yourselves a good day.